The sense of taste is called gustatory. Gustatory. This sensation starts on the tongue. Open the tracing on the Q drive
and then turn to page 566 of your textbook.
So what happens? Well, chemicals on the tongue contact the gustatory microvilli of the gustatory cell. You can see that in the diagrams there. If the threshold for taste is reached, that is, if enough molecules excite the gustatory microvilli, so if the threshold of taste is reached, an impulse will travel through the sensory neurons and into cranial nerves 7 and 9. These are the facial and the glossopharyngeal. Of course, I didn't have to tell you that, did I? 7 and 9. Let's see. How do you figure out the cranial nerves? You remember. Which cranial nerve becomes involved depends upon where on the tongue the sensation is picked up. So it depends on whether it's going to go to the facial or glossopharyngeal, dependent upon where on the tongue the chemical is picked up. From the cranial nerves, the impulse is sent through the medulla oblongata. You remember that, at the base of the brain. Then it goes to the hypothalamus and on into the thalamus. The thalamus is a switchboard within the brain, so it's able to project the gustatory information to the cerebral cortex. Now, most of the interpretation of taste is in the insula that lies above the temporal lobe and under the parietal lobe. Now, what is this insula? Well, it's one of the lobes of the brain that we didn't really talk much about when we were talking about parts of the brain, because it's deep in the brain and hard to see.
So I want you to find the insula now in your textbook. Turn to page 452.
And find the insula there. Look where it lies under the parietal lobe. In this diagram, they're actually moving the parietal lobe so that you can see the insula. That's where most of the sensation of taste is interpreted. So you can see that taste is another one of those complex interpretations by the brain. And there you have the tracing of taste from the tongue to the lobes of the brain where it is interpreted. Put that all together, get ready for it on the next oral.